to me was that to get on city water as soon as possible, because the risk from being contaminated from somewhere in the area, because there is so much industrial, is quite high, and was wary. So he did tell me that he tried to send it to me, I think, but for some reason the report wasn't able to come on to my phone. But I guess my point is I'm still very, very concerned about this, because there is a substance definitely in the water, and he did make it clear to me that, even something low level that you're drinking for 20 years, they have no idea what the effect is. So it's very much is, to me, just as concerning. I mean, I don't, see anything other than, red flags. And he also explained to me that certain industries that are around us, all it has to be is one slip up, and because they are literally so close to us, that would basically be the end of our well water. And at this point, even if, let's say, I would desire to move, who would want it? Because there's already spills on it, and I would never let a family come there, knowing the situation that it's at, and that will probably continue to be. And I guess one of my questions is there any proposals, anything in the air? I know I had heard, now I don't know if this is true or not, but there's a wooded area that's right there on Douglas Street that I had heard once upon a time they might do something with it. If it's industrial, but housing of any kind, and I know that there are wetlands there, and it's just that it just seems like something is bound to happen sooner or later, and I just don't want it to happen to those families that are there now. And it's, it's primarily us and the people across the street. I don't know about the homes behind us, but he basically was telling me, eventually something is going to happen. And there's no way that we could test. If we tested every week, we would never know exactly what it is and who it was. Just like we don't know who did this particular spill that's definitely in the well. He doesn't know. He doesn't even know the long-term effects of what this will have on my family. I don't want my kids or myself to have some kind of cancer or something, because we've ingested this for 20 years. So again, I do know about the reports. He told me he sent it to the environmental person here. They told me the state the state health department was also was informed, and a few other people. I can't remember it all, but I'm assuming that I'll have it on my phone. Maybe it was too big to get on there, I'm not sure, but he basically told me the same thing, and but did definitely advise me that as soon as I'm able to do that. So, thank you.
And if I could add, I do know that MDC is looking at cost profiles for getting service back there, and we have looked at that area for residential, and if residential can go in there, that would mean there would be municipal service back that way.
Another side question, do you know if there is water service as far down as 51?
I don't believe it's that far. I don't know how far it is, but I don't believe it's near you. I think the extension would be expensive.
Has MDC looked into the extension all the way down, or are they just looking at the front end of the street?
For that, I don't know. I have to get the numbers from Mr. Jellison, and I don't have those yet.
I was just going to ask about the wetlands and the impact that it has on that. Is all that being considered when they did it? And is that a dual zone? I mean, if you're bringing in residential, you're having industrial? I had a question about the wetlands that are there, the homes that are behind us, and how, if you have more industries coming in, how does that affect the homes that you have there now? What are the precautions that we're doing for the residents there and for the wetlands that are there?
We already have zoning, and there's state and federal environmental controls in terms of what kinds of uses go in there and what kind of impacts are allowed to happen. I don't I have not heard of anything being developed back there anytime in the near future.
Okay.
But I do know that we have looked at, is it possible to put more residential back there and create municipal services back there so that you don't have a heavy use occurring nearby?
My other concern that was also brought to my attention, that it did take quite a while, basically years, for us to know that something was wrong. Nobody, well, how it was said to me was that the storage unit did come and wanted to volunteer to make sure that there wasn't any impact on us. But we could have went for years, just like we did with this one. It was years before we knew that this stuff was happening. And then, of course, they had a spill there. Now, no, it didn't touch us this time, but are we playing Russian roulette for the next time that it does happen? And I think that's my concern, that we're just waiting for something big to happen. And again, I'll repeat it, we could test every week, and we may never be able to catch when that spill is going to happen. So thank you for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So one other question as well. On Granby Street, they're actually doing some building now. Was there an environmental impact study? Because that actually is the other side of the same wetlands that we abut. So have there been environmental impact studies on that side?
Is that where the, yeah, I think so, on Granby Street. I think there's municipal water on Granby Street.
The whole area should have municipal water.
I think it's MDC water down there.
So there has been environmental impact study done on the... No, we're
not sure. I mean, I think it's municipal water, so I'm not sure that they would do anything like that.
Well, one way you could find out, if you know the specific property that is subject to development that you're curious about, all you have to do is call us and let us know what that address is. We can have the land use people look that up and let you know what kind of permitting is there.
Are you talking about the piece of property right next to Saba?
Yes.
That's what you're talking about, where they just cleared all the, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's right
Yeah,
next to
because
Saba.
that is on the other side. There are some homes in between.
Yeah.
But that is the back side of the wetlands that run behind our house.
Okay, so we can, someday we can have looked into. Okay,
thank
thank you so very much.
Yeah, that's the first problem.
Is that it for? Yeah. Oh, excellent. Okay, so before we go into our council subcommittee reports, I'd like to just say welcome to Jordan and Brandon Stewart, two young people who are interested in politics. Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm going to apologize because, and I don't want to jinx it, but our agenda is a little bit short. So I hope that you keep on coming so that you can see the meat of the matter once our agenda starts to grow. At this time, we're going to have reports from our subcommittees, Community Service and Administration and Education. Deputy Mayor.
Well, Madam Mayor, I have nothing to report tonight. The next meeting hopefully will be January.
Finance, Councilor Goff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We, as mentioned last council meeting, it was likely we would cancel the October meeting, which we did. We will be having the November meeting. I believe it's November, what date? 23rd? I have to look at my calendar, I apologize. But that should have quite a bit of pertinent information, and we will be giving that at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Public Safety.
The 18th, thank you.
Public Safety, Councilman.
We did not have any public safety meetings, but I do want to take the time to thank, as this is my last meeting, to thank the Chief of Police and all of the fire personnel for working alongside me over the last 2 years to ensure that Bloomfield remains safe and its residents remain safe. I appreciate all of your feedback and your teaching me of the process of how public safety works, and I really appreciate it and I enjoy working with them. So thank you to the fire and police and BVA.
Committee on Committees and Land Use and Economic Development, Councilor Mann.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Like my colleagues, we did not meet in the last 2 weeks, so the next meeting, likely for the Land Use and Economic Development, will be on the 13th of November. We haven't got a meeting set up yet for Committee on Committees. I think the whole committee structure will be looked at after the election anyway. So we'll be looking for new people to fill in vacancies and move forward. Thank you.
Golf, Councilor Merritt?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We did have a golf meeting tonight, and it was a good one. And we have just had a discussion about 2020 proposed fees, and they've done a study, and our Billy Casper Golf did, and they have come up with a plan to cut Bloomfield resident fees, something like $5 a round. So it's that's hardly something anybody, we arranged that just a week before election, and no, I'm serious, this has been planned for a long time. What we found was that because, there's a lot of non-town usage of it, we want to promote Bloomfield usage of the course and make it more affordable. And what this does is means that there's really no reason for somebody to go out of town for good golf, because there's no better golf than our Wittenberry Hills Golf Course. I don't think anybody argues that. But for price, it has become as economical as any, at the same price or less than all the courses around. I say that as a blanket statement, and somebody could have a special or a reduced rate or some discount, but for Bloomfield residents, you want to play golf on a top-notch course as economically as you can, come to Bloomfield. And we're hoping that the usage of that course this is shaped to encourage people to play where it isn't used as much, and we don't expect this to hurt our revenues at all. We hope the usage will actually increase and help us out. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's not going to hurt the course. The course, by the way, is several $100,000 ahead of, this is owned by the town, so this is important, is ahead of last year by $200,000 roughly. So we're doing well, improving. It's been a good year, and we're on our way back. There's been a golf recession as there have been other recessions in the last 8 years. But anyway, and also we came up with, we had, as we know, we've had some success getting back into having championship matches, professionals there, and we're going to have invite the Connecticut PGA Championship in May. It's early in the season, it won't interfere with local play, it'll be good publicity. We are canceling the November golf committee meetings, we often do, having one early December. So I think I've covered most of the things of interest, and thank you.
Excellent. New business 1920-20, consider and take action regarding approval of council schedule for 2020. Is there a motion on the floor?
Second.
Any discussions? Councilor Bob?
Madam Mayor, I think this is great, the schedule here is fine. I just want to point out, as we start down the path of scheduling meetings, one thing that will be coming in a few weeks, a few council meetings down the line, will be the schedule for subcommittee meetings. What we generally do with council meetings, obviously, is when the council meeting doesn't meet, can't meet because of a holiday, Memorial Day, whatever, we move it to the next day. When we do that with subcommittee meetings, sometimes we stack a subcommittee meeting on a night that's scheduled and move it to the next day. There's some other subcommittee meeting scheduled. So I would ask town staff this year, when they start looking at those, that if that is a case, they reschedule the subcommittee meeting to a day not to interfere with a given subcommittee meeting. And that's just a comment for the future. So, thank you.
Any other discussions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 1920-21.
So
Consider and take action regarding cancellation of December 23rd, 2019 Town Council meeting. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussions? No, it's not. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 1920-22, consider and take action regarding tax refunds.
Madam Mayor? Yeah. I would move that the tax refunds per the list from our finance director be approved in accordance with the memorandum dated October 23rd, 2019 that is in our package.
Any discussions? Yes, Councilor Mann.
I just had a question. I saw the description of Leaf Capital Funding's refund, but I don't know what kind of equipment we were using that would have that much in taxes on it. Does anybody, we're not repairing schools, so I don't know what that was for. Does anybody have an idea?
Let's look.
It was something for the Board of Education.
Okay.
I can find out, get back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Did you want to vote on it, or did you want to wait?
Councilor Mann?
I would, until I get that, I'd prepare to vote on the rest of it, but I'm not sure what that is, and I should know.
Yeah.
So is
So-
there an amendment to the motion?
I so moved to
Or do you
approve
want to remove that?
the list with the exception of Leaf Capital Funding at this point.
And I would accept that friendly amendment.
Any other discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? So the motion carries with the caveat that we remove the $11,070.27. Report from our town manager.
What's he doing?
I'm sorry I didn't have this set up. Haven't been trained yet on the equipment. See if this is still
Oh, he is trained. He's going to do something.
Okay.
Yes.
So Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, you'll recall several weeks ago I was assigned a very serious and grave task, and that was to find the drummer boy. You may recall this summer we announced on the city website on July the 2nd, if you were wondering where he was. And we went into great detail about his medical procedures and convalescence that we were going to send him for treatment. He has been located. He's looking somewhat worse for wear. I would say, some might say snareless. But most importantly, we have also found his stalwart and somewhat stoic pet ducks. These photos were provided to us by his captors, the studio, and that's where they slipped up. They were taken with a smartphone, and these photos have been examined by Homeland Security, and with a little help from the FBI, thanks to Chief Hamrick, we've come up with current date and a location. And we have identified where he is. He will be returning soon from Skylight Studios, pending a little payment on the invoice. Thank you.
That was absolutely amazing. It's good to
All questions are now.
put some humor on some things, right? But seriously, thank you for doing the research and giving us some comfort that we will be getting on drummer.
One item of note, he's not cast bronze. He is hammered copper. And so the rehabilitation for that is very different, and so the studio is going through some, so it'll be a few more months before we get him back. It's like, hey, I moved this week, so...
Right. So excellent. So thank you very much for that, and I do hope that we can probably get that on the website as well. So if anyone missed the presentation, they'll be able to see it. Just of note, the backpack program, they came in and they made a presentation to us. When they came in, I believe they had about 25 families, which grew to 70 some odd families. Now we're at 84 families. The backpack program, the partnership between the Bloomfield Congregational Church, the First Cathedral, and Rehoboth Church of God is going really well. Seabury is also helping to pack bags, and it's good to see. Taking note that on December 7th will be our holiday parade, so please set your calendars to come out and celebrate with us. And that's all that I have for announcements. We'll move into the approval of our minutes from our October 15, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll abstain, Madam Mayor. I was not here for that particular meeting due to work.
Which one is that?
October 15th.
It was the October.
Right. So we have, were you here, Councilor? Oh, okay, I forgot. So we only have one extension, and that is passed. At this time, we'll have our council comments. Man, we are doing really good. Our council comments, we'll start with Councilor Merritt.
In the spirit of expediting this meeting, and I don't have anything particular. I was very happy about the golf report, but I can't think of anything else worth saying now that I should say the week before elections, so I'm going to pass. That should make everybody very happy.
Councilor McCleary.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, this is my last meeting on Town Council, and I would like to thank my colleagues for their putting up with me for the last 2 years. I would also like to thank the 3 young ladies at 2 Wedgwood Drive who have shared myself with this town for the last 2 years. Without their sacrifice, I would not have been able to represent the people of Bloomfield. I wrote something, so I should do it, so I don't get emotional. So, as you know, I wasn't successful in my re-election bid in the Democratic town primary on September 10th. And for the last 2 years, it has been the honor of my life to serve with integrity and class the people of Bloomfield. I've had the privilege of working with our police department, my fellow council members, department heads, Bloomfield residents to help create some positive change here in Bloomfield. Whether we have seen eye to eye or really agreed at all, my conversations with you, the people of Bloomfield, have truly been honest. In living rooms, in schools, at the farms, small businesses, you kept me honest and you kept me inspired. And every day I've learned what type of politics that I want to be involved in and type of politics I don't want to be involved with. And again, I thank you for putting your trust in me to serve the people of Bloomfield for the last 2 years. It was a true honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Just 2 things. We enjoyed the presentation on the drummer boy. It is election time, so we are talking to lots of people around town, and I've been asked that question several times, so it's surprising. People do notice things like that they're used to in the town center, and we know people are anxious for the drummer to be back. The one other thing I will say is there is an election next week, so just everyone, please do your civic duty and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just in the spirit of keeping things moving along and in the spirit of the drummer boy, I wanted to also say kudos to the town engineer and the town manager's office for turning on the lights. So we now have a lighted town green, and I think it looks great, especially driving by and seeing it nicely lit, very bright. So that's just great. So appreciate all the effort that went into that, even though it did take quite some time. So thank you for accomplishing it before the end of the 2-year period that park has undergone renovation. And then secondly, I would just also want to reiterate what Councilor Goff said. Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, is Election Day. I would encourage everyone to please go out and vote. It doesn't matter if you're voting for a Republican, which I hope you do, or a Democrat. The question is, please go out and vote. Okay? Thank you.
Well, I have a number of announcements, one of which I'm most excited about is I learned today that the town got its certification, bronze certification, under the Sustainable Connecticut program. And that means that all the efforts that we've made for the last 11 years to improve our energy efficiency has paid off, and we are now amongst the 27% of towns in Connecticut who are members and part of Sustainable Connecticut. I'm really excited about that. I think you'll probably be hearing more about that in the next coming days. A couple of announcements. Representative Gibson is holding an education forum on the science of climate change on the 30th of this month at the Human Services Facility from 5:30 to 7:30. Something that he is interested in, and it may result in some state action or regulation or legislation, but it'd be helpful, I think, to him to get some feedback from this community. On the other hand, Senator McCrory is hosting an educational forum in Windsor, which is open to all people in his district, and he's trying to learn what is necessary to put in next year's educational package of the state. It'll be on November 6th. You have a little bit more time on that. I forgot to mention with respect to the Connecticut certification sustainability, I really wanted to thank Marie McDonald and the CEC, which has done a tremendous amount of work on this over the last number of years, and they should be very proud. We were talking about the drummer boy, and just so that you know, there's going to be another discussion about that, from the Historic Society, on November 6th again, 6 o'clock at Prosser Library.